just wanted to hop on here. I want to start going live a little bit more. Maybe, maybe we'll bring back the whole Vlogmas thing like I did in December where I went live every day for how many ever days. But with that being said, um, I had a thought that I wanted to share with y'all. And of course, I'm going to come over here and share it when I want to elaborate on said thought. But the thought is, how do you raise empathetic sons? How to raise empathetic sons. And it came to me because today, I'll give a little background. I'm an oldest daughter. I think I've mentioned that before. If you haven't heard it, this is your first time. I always got to let y'all know I'm an oldest daughter, high achieving. I was the kid that, you didn't have to worry about, kind of just knew what to do was right, did what was right. I have a younger brother with a year and 9 months apart. You would think we'd be closer now that we're adults, but we're not, because of resentment and things like that. Not really on my behalf, but more so on his behalf, because I had a hand in his upbringing, which I shouldn't have because I was also a child as well. So children raising children, that whole dynamic. But even when I was going through, or at the start of like coming out of a domestic violence situation, into transitioning, divorce, and looking for a support system in my family, I'll never forget there was a point when my brother said to me, well, you can handle anything. And at that point, it kind of was supposed to be encouragement, but I also realized it was the pretext. It was the pretext of I never really got to take a break and I had to handle everything. Right? Go here with me. So I'm like, okay, boom. Now that I have an oldest daughter, when an oldest daughter gives birth to an oldest daughter, then I give birth to a son. I'm like, oh, here's this. This is kind of like the same dynamic. They're 4 years. They're 4 years and 6 months apart, or 3 years and 6 months apart, but whatever. So I'm like, okay, how different can I raise them so that, one, that they're close, so two, that the brother does not rely on his big sister, right? Give him his own idea and his skills. And encompassing all of that, I think about the conversations that are happening, because research shows that black men aren't going to college at the same rate. But there's a deeper reason, right? We can say it's because they don't want to. We could say but it's because the bar is set pretty low. You'll have a brother and a sister raised in the same household, and you'll have this overachieving, highly educated, highly motivated, intrinsically motivated big sister. And then you'll have her younger brother who's not really one to do, as well as the sister. So raising an empathetic son to me looks like him seeing that his sister needs a break, him seeing that his sister needs rest, him seeing, him identifying with the fact that she's a girl, and while she will work hard, in some aspects, she deserves rest. Women deserve rest, right? And as a boy, he should work even harder, but he's a black boy, so that means he has to work even harder because he's a black. One day he'll be a man. Don't be bound by the standards. Learn how to take accountability. And how am I teaching him how to take accountability? Through the different, therapy is one. Learning how to take accountability, because, people, again, growing up, I saw that I got in trouble a lot for my brother. So where was the accountability there, right? My younger brother, we're a year and 9 months apart. I always got in trouble for him. When it comes to my son, my daughter and my son, I'm going to separate the situation. Also, they're learning conflict resolution with each other, character building with each other. I never really go out of my way to tell my daughter, hey, you're older, you should know better. No, because I'm going to pull her to the side and say, I know he's really grinding your gears right now, and I need you to ignore him. I need you to come to me and let me know what's going on so I can deal with him. Then when I'm dealing with him, I let him know, hey, you heard her say she need a break from you. You heard her say no. You heard her say stop. Why didn't you stop? Accountability. Gotta activate that active thinking, that active learning, that critical thinking, right? because you want your son empathetic. Like, the reason why you'll see like a man not being empathetic to women when they're older is because they had no empathy for their mama, they had no empathy for their sister, they had no empathy for the women in their life. They just don't have any empathy. So for me, it's empathy starts at home. Just like when people learn hatred for other races, they learn to discredit somebody, they learn jealousy, they learn to be envious, they learn to lie on people and make up all these stories about people. They learn that at home. Who you become is who you'll be. Who you practice every day is who you'll be. Right? So I'm always letting my son know, hey, I'm creating boundaries with him. I'm firm with him. And as a parent, as a solo primary parent who is a woman, I do not go out of my way. And I've said this on an episode before. As a woman, as a mom, without a father in the home, a therapist told me this, you cannot compensate for the fact that a father is not there. You can just instill in your son the characteristic traits that will make him a good person. Because being a good person is not subject to being a man or a woman, right? So making sure that he understands that I have boundaries, that's not subject to me, to my daughter versus him. I need you to know I'm a woman with boundaries. I need you to know my yes is my yes and my no means my no. Clear-cut communication. That's not from boy to girl or man to woman. That is a trait that you need to have. Conflict resolution, active reasoning, active thinking, critical thinking. Those are traits that you just have. So when I sit down and I create a space where I'm like, hey, what is it that you need so that you can be better? Now he has to think, okay, what is it that I need? For example, we were having an issue with his morning routine. I have a list of morning routine, evening routine. By these times, these things need to be done. But I was finding that when it was time for us to leave the house, he would be like, oh, I forgot to do this or I forgot to do that. Lo and behold, he's like, can I get a checklist so I can look and see that everything is done? So I had him to write out the checklist. I was like, what are all the things that you need to do before you leave the house in the morning? He wrote it out. I perfected it. Well, I edited it. And then now he has the checklist. So before he says, hey, I'm ready to go, he has to go look at that checklist. What does that create? How does that lean into empathy? It does, because active and critical thinking and learning, all of those things are needed for empathy. You have to be able to see where your lack of being ready, how does that affect your leaving. Like, for example, the people who are always chronically late, I say they don't have any empathy. They don't have empathy for the fact that somebody is hosting an event. They don't have empathy for the fact of other people's time. They lack empathy in that way. So yeah, so they lack empathy in that way. So I find it interesting to, to no fault when I say, hey, how do you create empathetic sons? It's the little steps and the little things that you can do. Again, for me, it's it's the backstory of what I've already lived, right? When I see that he's doing certain things to antagonize his sister and stuff like that, like, he will come and he'll give me a hug and he'll be looking at her and I'm like, why are you looking at her? And I'll invite her over, come get a hug too. Because again, those little quirks that might seem like, oh, that's so cute, it's not cute to me. It's not cute to me because me and my brother, we grew up we had different dads. So my brother, and I had told him this when we got older, and he just kind of when I was younger, because my mom and my dad, they were teens or whatever, I never really knew my dad. The person who raised my mom kind of picked up and said, hey, she doesn't need a dad, whatever. They didn't I feel like the adults in the situation should have been more communicative and came together to say, hey, he's her father, let's get to know him. Because the people who created me at the time were teenagers, were children. The adults were supposed to step in, but also the children shouldn't have been having children, so whatever. But my brother had a dad and I didn't, or he had an active father and I didn't. And so what took place was, hello, what took place was, when his dad was picking him up, he would be like, oh, I'm going with my dad, or you don't have a dad. And it translated into when we got older, because I'll never forget when I graduated with my master's, somehow my dad ended up coming. If y'all want a story on that, leave a comment, because I have to create a whole nother video about how I didn't even know my dad, only seen him twice in my life, and he ends up at my master's graduation in 2018. Anywho, so just type 2018 if you want a story on that. So he was like telling someone, because the person brought it back to me, and I was like, I really don't care. But he was telling someone, oh, her dad never took care of her, and he had the nerve to show up at her graduation. And in that moment, not my story to tell, but he ends up finding out that the person who was his dad when we was younger was not his dad. Long story short. And so he ended up coming to tell me, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I was like, how'd you find out? And so he stopped real quick. And when he stopped, I was like, how'd you find out? And he was like, man, it's nothing, it's nothing. So the person who ended up telling me the actual story was the person who I asked. And I was like, how did he find out that his dad was not his dad? And they told me that story. And I was like, oh, I'll do a story time on it. Thank you for commenting 2018. I was like, oh, okay. I see. He couldn't tell me how he found out because he was kind of downplaying me and down talking me. Even after that, he still would say certain things about like my dad is a different ethnic background than his dad. So he would be like, oh, those type of men don't take care of their kids. And I was like, well, where'd you get that from? And he was like, oh, like your dad. He didn't take care of you. And I was like, you do know, like, our parents, my mom, our mom, and my dad were 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. So I'm like, putting time in perspective, you cannot put that all on him, right? And he's like, no, I'm not saying it like that. So again, there's this lack of empathy from when we were younger that translated to him being not an empathetic person as a man. So how do you raise your sons to be empathetic, especially your black sons to be empathetic? It starts from home. Making him pay attention to detail, making him see, the error of his ways, making him take accountability when he's doing something wrong to his sister. I'm at a Tesla charging station and I finished charging my car, but I want to finish this video, and I'm watching this young man not know how to put the thing in, so he must be just got the car. I understand. I don't know how people get these cars that they really don't leave with asking every single question. And literally, you could ask the car the questions and it will tell you, but that's another story for another time. But with that being said, yeah, empathy is a whole other space. It's a whole other realm. It's a whole other topic. I just want to, because I love a good definition, so to speak. Looking up the definition of empathy, because you know how you just know something, but you have to put it in such a way so that it brings forth clarity, because that's the whole purpose of Black Girl Say Something, is saying something and bringing it forth with clarity, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. The ability to understand and share the feelings of others. The ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So just like the example that I use, where somebody is chronically late, they lack empathy. I don't care what nobody says. People who are chronically late lack empathy. The reason why I say they lack empathy is because, again, the feelings, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. How are you sharing and understanding the feelings of others if you're late to their event? People put together an event. They want people to show up on time. It starts at this time, it ends at this time, and you show up just before it ends. I say, hey, and then on top of that, let's say, I'm somebody who's chronically never late. I love to be on time to things. I don't know. I love to be on time to things. And so as somebody who loves to be on time to things, I have this one friend, every time I throw something, from the dawn of time, me and her have been knowing each other since our daughters were 2 years old. From the dawn of time, and our daughters are now 15. I could plan something today. She gonna be there on time. Never fails. Never fails. Okay? One thing about her, she gonna be on time. Um, but yeah, that's the meaning of empathy. So raising an empathetic son, I want him to have the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Especially, it starts from home. It starts with his sister. It starts with his ability to see that, okay, let me understand where my mom is coming from. I don't talk at him. I talk with him. I talk to him. So this way, when he gets older and some woman is talking to him, he's not like, oh, she acting like my mama because he done had this visceral hate for his mama because his mama done yelled at him all his life. No, I don't have to yell at him. I don't have to yell at him. We talk. And I let him get his point across. And once he's done, I say what I have to say. Effective communication. Listening to understand, and then creating that thought, because you're not effectively listening if you're already forming a thought before the sentence is done. Anywho, tune into Black Girl Say Something, where this Black girl has something to say every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you listen to podcasts. And also subscribe to our Patreon. There'll be some links in the description of this episode, so tune in.